This bonus episode is sponsored by Toddle. Toddle is an all-in-one teaching and learning platform used by over 40,000 educators around the world. On March 3rd and 4th, Toddle hosted the largest virtual gathering for school leaders across the globe with 5,000 plus school leaders in attendance. Today, we're going to speak to two fantastic leaders who were in attendance to provide their takeaways and insights from the many wonderful presentations offered. Like I said, I have two guests this episode, and they both happen to be principals of their schools, and they participated in the Toddles School Leaders Bootcamp. My first guest is Ashleigh Woodard, who is located in Canada, and right after that, I had the wonderful opportunity to speak with Golfdan, who is located in Egypt. Welcome back, everyone, to Aspire to Lead, where we will be discussing the visions, inspirations, and experiences from top educational leaders. My name is Joshua Stamper, and you can connect with me on Twitter or on Instagram at Joshua_Stamper. Ashleigh, thank you so much for joining me on Aspire to Lead. I cannot wait to get some of your takes from this new Toddle School Leaders Bootcamp, and I would love to learn a little bit about yourself and your educational journey.
Perfect, yeah. Coming off a few days of online learning. My name is Ashleigh Woodard. I'm coming to you live just outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. My current position is I'm the assistant head of our International Baccalaureate Primary Years program at my independent school. I teach in a K-12 school, which means prior to being the assistant head, I've worn just about every hat imaginable. Classroom teacher, librarian, design and technology teacher, done some high school teaching, some lower school. So I think being in those different positions has informed my leadership journey a little bit, walked a mile in many different kinds of shoes. And so it was really nice to attend the Toddle workshops and these past couple days and really hear from other people and their perspectives and how, their journeys inform their work.
That's awesome. I want to know, why did you decide to attend the Toddle School Leaders Bootcamp?
Well, I've got to give big shout outs to Toddle because professional development that is high quality like this, but does not come with a hefty price tag is really appreciated. And I think there's a lot that we can do virtually. And for someone like myself, I was able to attend because here's the value, there's no cost. And all of a sudden here I am sitting in a Zoom room with people from all over the world. And so when I think about what I value in professional development, that's part of it. How can we get a whole bunch of voices who are able to share their ideas and their perspectives, and how, especially coming from international education, how do these core beliefs or passions about leadership, how do they play out in different contexts around the world? So, Toddle did a phenomenal job. I think the other piece they did really nicely is it's accessible to everyone. You don't have to be in a formal leadership position already at your school to be able to attend. And I think for folks who maybe are doing a lot of, I call it the little L work, like the little pockets of leadership. It's not formal. You don't have a title. You don't have, but you're doing some heavy lifting. I think it's wonderful to be able to join in with like-minded people and to start to build your toolkit and to learn more about what's out there, especially if you're not perhaps on anyone's formal radar yet for receiving that kind of support.
I think that's such a great point. And definitely, I think, the folks I've talked to, it spans from being a teacher and no formal title to, being a lead in a district. So I love that there's so many folks that felt like they got value from this event. So I want to know what resonated with you the most during all of these wonderful presentations. And I know that's probably hard to whittle down to just one.
It is hard. And on my list of ones that I couldn't catch, but that I want to go back and watch is very, very long. And I wish I'd been able to do more of it before we met. I don't know if fangirling is still the term, but Stephen Covey, the man, the myth, the legend, right? And it's so apparent in the way that he speaks, the way that he commands the room, the way that everything, every word out of his mouth, you find yourself nodding along and being like, yes, and, right? Like, tell me more. What for me was a through line in all the sessions that I attended, and Stephen Covey, encapsulated it really beautifully, is this idea of moving towards trust and inspire. And different workshops, different leaders, different, master classes had, I think, different approaches to this idea around trust, building trust, cultivating trust. how easy it is to unwillingly or unwittingly lose that trust with a relationship. And how do you acknowledge that, and how do you go back to growing it again? And just that it isn't a singular, I've built trust, check the box, and now I'm ready to move on, which I think so many of us love to be box checkers. I mean, the imagery Covey used about the gardener, right? About the cultivation and the growing and the continuing to nurture and to foster. I think when we work with teams, it's such, it's people-driven work. It's relationship-driven work. That's at the heart of all the work that we do. So not only was it affirming, I think for a lot of us to say, yes, you know what, I am pouring my energies into the right area, but just to feel affirmed and to feel inspired ourselves in the work that we're doing. I could listen to Stephen Covey talk for like 6 hours. Like, I don't know why. Just let him, he could read the grocery list. Have like, this is remarkable.
You just, nodding your head the entire time. I'm the same. I could listen to him all day. And he did such a phenomenal job in his presentation. I want to talk about the takeaways, right? Because it's one thing to learn something, but it's another to have an actionable item that you want to implement on your campus or in your district. So was there anything that you took away from one of these presentations?
Yeah. Did you catch the masterclass with Danny Bauer? Well worth your while. Yes.
He's been on the podcast
so great.
Times. He's a phenomenal podcaster and author. Yes.
Yeah. I attended both of his. He was also around building trust, especially yesterday. But a lot of his work was like, I found it to be actionable in developing yourself so that you can develop others, right? If I'm not clear about my own goals, my own expectations, my own, sort of aspirations, how can I do that work and cultivate that with other people? And again, boiling down to trust, where we're building trust in relationships, and what does that look like? So his points around consistency, I think for me, they resonated because you do what you'll say you'll do. And I think we all like to think that we do, but then life gets busy and things get put, or they slide down the list. And it was the reminder, it was the, when things just come to you at the right time. For us, we're, wrapping up, we're moving into our spring break, we're looking ahead at our third term, sort of closing out the year. And it was really impactful for me to sit and think, do I do what I say I'll do? And is there power to say, my heart says yes, my schedule says no? And where are we as leaders prioritizing, and just thinking about the trickle down effect when it comes to relationships and trust and consistency? And so for me, that was, as someone who likes to say yes to everything, that was impactful. And it gave me a lot of food for thought. And I found myself reflecting to that in the days that followed.
I mean, that's how the year kind of feels sometimes, right? But I think you make a great point of, especially at the end of the year, we have so many things that we're looking forward to, and we still have some work to do in the day. And I am with you. I am a yes person, and I hate saying no to folks because I don't want them to let them down. But at the same point, it's not very healthy, and you can start to lose that trust with your stakeholders. So I think that's such a great point. Love Danny Bauer. He's such an amazing leader, educator, author, podcaster. So I'm so glad that you're able to join his masterclass. So I want to know, how can folks connect with you on social media?
Oh, I do have a teacher Twitter, which I am a big fan of. Such a great spot to connect and find new ideas and sometimes go down rabbit holes, and all of a sudden, I'm learning more about 3D printing and it's 3 a.m. But my Twitter handle is Ms. like MS Woodward 337. So I'm happy to connect with folks online. That's a neat place to be.
Well, you said it yourself. I mean, that's why you went to the event, is to connect with other like-minded folks and to learn from them. And what better chance for other folks to connect with you? And, you have a lot of wisdom and experience yourself. So yeah, find your PLN, find your folks. That's the best way to learn, is from other people, especially from, different countries too, and what they're doing. Obviously the things that we're doing in our schools is great, but we can expand on that knowledge and the experiences of others. So I'm just so fortunate to have met you this morning. Thank you so much for sharing your insight on all the wonderful things that happen at Toddles School Leaders Bootcamp. And I appreciate you so much for not only being on the Aspire to Lead podcast, but for all that you do in education.
Well, likewise, Josh. Thanks for taking the time. I can't wait to hear from all the other folks too that you've connected with. It's going to be a real collection of us. Everyone's hot take coming out of the sort of the cloud that was this Toddle School Leaders bootcamp as we emerge, inspired and maybe a little caffeinated.
For sure, caffeinated.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. You can find out more at teachbetter.com/podcasts. Now let's get back to the episode.
Golfdan, I'd love to know why you joined the School Leaders Bootcamp and what did you take away from this wonderful event?
I'm actually a new principal in my school. That's why I attended this event. When I had a notification from one of my colleagues, I'm studying master degree in educational leadership with Dundee University. And one of my colleagues, actually, she sent us, we have a group, a collaborative one for studying together as colleagues in the WhatsApp. She sent for us the link of the event. Actually, when I went through the brochure, I was astonished for the kind of organization and the kind of representation of everything, actually. Even the choices of the colors, the choices of the spoken men and women, actually, it appealed to me, to my senses, actually. I felt like Toddle actually and Veroska together. I like the idea itself of this is the first time for me. We have Zoom application and Teams, but this is the first time to have two AI applications collaborating together for the sake of what? For the sake for me of the most honorable job profession in the whole universe. Yeah, it's not education leader. We are the ones that are responsible for graduating doctors, astronauts, scientists, innovate, like most all of the jobs. We are the ones who are responsible. I'm not talking about myself, by the way. I'm so humbled to talk about myself, comparing to other magnificent leaders or other words. So I like the idea. It's an innovative one, and it matches together with what comes newly on the whole world now regarding the Chat GPT. And when I find about this Chat GPT, it's so recent. I asked myself, what do I have to do to face this one? Because it has actually, as long as like many benefits it has for students, as if the universe is compensating or giving like a kind pat over the shoulders of the students. But actually, it challenges, really, it's a great challenge for education organizations, whether they are universities or schools. When it comes to how can you guarantee that the students are not going to use it for writing essays on articles that would appear as if these writings are theirs. Mm-hmm. So when this comes and I find something like Toddle and Veroska together, they are making, you are actually like taking a further step towards actually changing this kind. Maybe there is not a clear link now to find it, but this is something I like. And maybe in the future you think about a third approach that will add more, you will benefit together, and you are embodying what should leaders do in this today's world of collaborating together. Mm-hmm. Because being a leader, sometimes you are deceived by your position, by the chair you are sitting on, and you are deceived. Not only deceived, you may not be arrogant before being a leader or a principal. And when you are a leader, maybe you yourself deceived you being a leader, and you start to be arrogant. You start not to include all your team step by step, simply because you are not collaborating with other leaders. When you are a teacher, you have someone who is higher in position than you, who is taking your hand and tells you have to collaborate, you have to work in teamwork. This is the leader. But what about the leader himself or herself? Who is going to collaborate with them? Other leaders over the world, but not from his position. Because a leader in a school, he is the only one, chairman. You are creating this platform for leaders all over the world to take experiences, and what is the result, what the outcome. So what? I'm always asking myself, so what? So what? Your performance will be not actually yourself-oriented, but it will be students-oriented, your school-oriented, the whole community-oriented, and the whole university community. The whole universe-oriented, sorry. This is what you're doing through this event. Actually, I cannot appreciate you enough. It was a great experience for me. Although I regret it, but it's out of my hand already, because I have family responsibilities. I have my own job. That's why I wasn't able to, I was like running after myself to be able to attend the most of the webinars. But I feel like I try to satisfy myself when I know that it's recorded. But thank you. I have to thank you, really, for this great event, really.
I love it. That was wonderful. And I just appreciate you and for all that you do for education. Obviously, you are really reflecting on your role and how important it is to, benefit those on the campus and those students you're working with. So thank you so much for joining me on the Aspire podcast and sharing just a little insight on the Toddle event.